Doom. Hold on.
Stop broadcasting.
Whoa!
The system works.
Whoa, Chrome,
Oh,
slow
I'm going the
down.
wrong
The
way.
mic is next to Stitch. Stitch, raise your hand. The mic is up here. Just FYI, if you happen to be near it. Or happen to talk Stitch. Okay, now the mic is up front. Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Magic microwave.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Are we live? We're live.
Next one.
One of these screens. Hey, Stitch, can you switch the screen over to one of them? I don't know which.
That one.
Who's that handsome horse?
2020.
Oh, well. Okay. So, welcome everybody to the September general meeting. Sorry we started kind of late. We were all getting our tech, getting them set up, and people were getting pizza and all kinds of good stuff. But now we're here, so welcome. I guess I should start off. My name is Kenny Orphenicus. I'm this year's chair. Let's start by going around the room, doing some quick introductions. Let's start with me.
Me.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tracy or Rue. I'm your marketing director.
Hi, I'm Gray. I am the art director and marketing second.
I'm Davin. I'm theming.
Groggy.
Groggy programming second, I guess now. Something like that.
Co-lead second. Either work. Whatever you want to be called. Co-lead.
I'm Sean. I'm vice chairman.
I'm Stitch. I'm IT second lead something or other. IT something.
I am Binary Fox, art show lead. I am Dax, executive secretary and keyboard talker.
Mood dealers lead and hotel second.
I'm James, or a bystander. I'm business co-lead.
Latte or Lauren, that's the wrong order. I'm Latte, I'm also a business co-lead.
I'm Brad, I'm board secretary and marketing third.
I'm Galen, or RJ, the second time I've attended FC twice and haven't volunteered yet, so.
Hi.
James, you owe me a favor.
Marshall, logistics second.
I'm Mike, or Red, and I'm planning to volunteer.
Yay!
Highlander.
I'm Ryan, I'm on registration.
Jim Tal, I'm Gopher.
I'm Artie or Garrett. I'm in marketing.
I'm Anna, I am a registration staff.
Oh, hey.
I'm Ilan, programming sounds strategy.
I'm Meryl, or Trickstu. I'm in registration. So, Gopher.
Cool. So thanks everybody for introducing yourselves, going around the room. For those who are on the stream, I swear I'm not just one person on a camera. There are other people in the room here. I did
Very good at voice.
I'm really good at voice acting. So sort of similar to last month's meeting, and sort of connecting with the presentation series that we did. I wanted to give a presentation this meeting, so I guess heads up for that. You'll see me give a presentation in a little bit. But before we get to that, let's go through some general announcements. Okay, so let's start right here. We had a picnic, what was it, last weekend? And it was pretty awesome. Thanks for everybody who came and everybody who volunteered. I think it went really well. We had lots of fursuiters, there were lots of photos, there was a lot of food. We ate all the food, we ran out of food, which is good, but like at the very end, so we had the right amount of food. We did have to run out and get some more water in the middle of it, but I think it was a pretty great picnic. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming. The week before that, we had our first locker inventory, which also was really, really successful. So thanks everybody, all the leads and staff who came to help clear out stuff from the locker. There was a lot of stuff that we got rid of, which is great, because if we're just keeping junk in the locker, why is it there? We do have another locker inventory coming up in a couple of weeks, so locker inventory take 2. We took some notes of things that we needed to figure out between last locker inventory and this upcoming one, and also some departments who haven't shown up didn't get a chance to show up at the last one. Here's your opportunity to show up. We're trying to figure out whether we're going to do it on the 20th or the 21st of October. The reason why we're not sure is because we're also trying to figure out when the next meeting is going to be, which looks like it's probably going to be on the 20th. So there might be a little bit of a conflict there, but we'll figure it out and let you know as soon as we can. The next thing I want to bring up is call for staff. We have a few new folks here, or a couple, and I don't know how many are on the stream or watching or who will be watching in the future because the streams are recorded. But hey, here are some of our current, as far as I'm aware. Well, I did copy paste this from last month, so it might be slightly out of date, but I think this is pretty close. Call for staff. Does anybody want to go down the list of department leads, or should I just read them off? Department leads. We can start with programming because you're at the top of the list. Wait, what? Sorry, programming is very much paying attention.
just got an email about some good stuff, so
And good stuff is great.
I was reading that. Anyways,
We're looking at call for staff.
call for staff. Where are my notes?
We're going to delete the please update for September because now if you haven't done it,
It's on
scary.
here somewhere. I'll find it. Call for staff. Programming. We need. I definitely know we still need Fursuit Lounge staff. So if there's any interest there, and I believe we need the leads for. Where are my leads?
Groggy.
Look up on the
Oh.
Oh, I didn't want my.
That we need gaming room staff, Fursuit Lounge staff, and we do really still need track leads, specifically for social and species tracks and art track. I might have a lead in costuming, but if you're interested, also let me know on costuming track if you're costuming performance track, if there's any interest there. And yeah.
Do you want to go into a little bit about what those roles are, or should I?
I can do it if you want.
Sure.
Okay, so track leads. Basically, track leads are helping to get panels and working with panelists to make sure they have all their needs met as best as we can, and checking in with the panelists during the con to make sure that they're not sick, they're available to do the panel, they don't have any problems, things like that. And then for Fursuit Lounge, you're basically helping out the fursuiters in the Fursuit Lounge, refilling water, checking to make sure there's not trash everywhere, there's still cups, basic things like that. And then we have gaming room. Gaming room, just helping out in the gaming room. You're helping check out tabletop games or video games, whatever people want to play, helping make sure things run smooth in the gaming room, basically.
Cool. All right, let's look at the next one. We have a few different business roles.
You
different
had
business.
marketing, but I deleted them.
Marketing, would you like to
I would like to
verbally give some?
explain why I deleted them, which is like I didn't write those there.
Okay.
I assume you did when you were doing your notes last
I
night.
copy
but-
pasted them from last month.
Okay, marketing has a bunch of hires already that we need to assign projects and roles to. So there is a freeze on marketing hiring right now until I can figure out what everyone that we already have is doing.
Cool.
So we did have a call for people running carnival games. We'll probably put that call back up. I think we're probably good on design staff and we might be good on social media. I need to figure that out. So for right now, marketing doesn't have any hiring needs. We may have some later when it gets closer to the con.
Okay, thanks for the update. The next in the list there was a few for business. Would you like to deliver some?
Yeah, sure. So we've actually seen an uptick in registration staff, some of which are here. So thank you guys.
Yay.
So Reg, at least as far as I'm going off of the hiring report, we're actually in good shape. We only need 15 more people, but that's definitely like a many hands make light work job. So if you have any interest in registration, we are always looking for people who are great with customer service, who want to meet everyone at the con. But I should mention that the actual need in business right now is for art show staff. Art show, you get to work with Riley, and that's the best part.
Riley's pretty great.
Art show is a great place to work if you want an extremely chill job, because art show is very calm and only mildly chaotic when bids are closing. and when pickups are going on, but it is a very easy role to jump in and out of. Riley, I believe it's shifted so we can schedule people around things if they want to go to panels or anything like that. It also closes in the evening, so you can go to the dances, go to the parties, whatever. We need, at least according to the staffing sheet, we need 11 bodies for art show. I think that's a little flexible, but that's an ideal target for art show. That means that we have enough to cover everything from setup to tear down, including the busy periods with pickup and the busy periods with scanning and payment collection, etc. Is really fun, and we've got a lot of things going on that make the job a lot easier, a lot of technology in that space. Thank you, Riley. Those are the big ones. Dealers room, are we good? Are we good?
I mean, if you want to volunteer, I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
We need maybe 1 or 2 more people, depending. We're pretty flexible if you have panels and things. It's a very chill group. You may be on either dealer staff or console. We're sort of flexible.
Okay. And I think that's more or less it for business needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Is anyone from operations here? If not, I'll deliver the update.
Metro's on the call.
Metro just messaged me that he's recovering from surgery right now,
right.
so he can't drive while on painkillers and stuff. So that is why he's not here, and he forgot to send a message about it.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope Mitra gets better soon and recovers well. These, I believe, were still copied from last month, and I think that they're still relevant, so I'll mention them anyway. Hospitality usually is looking for folks. They're looking for some people to help run staff feed, as well as the party floor's hydration station. If you're not aware of what the hydration station is on the party floor, we have a room set aside for people to drink water and cool off after getting their party on, as it were. And staff feed, hey, everyone who's on staff gets fed. Isn't that cool? But we need somebody to help do that. So that's what that role is. And logistics, as a part of the operations crew, one of the benefits to that is you do all of your work before and after the convention. Basically, mostly. Marshall, do you want to talk more about that because you're here?
Yeah, there are some other advantages to being part of logistics. It's very much, you get here literally the day before the con, and you need to stick around till the day after the con. But it's many times hurry up and wait during those points because we have to work in conjunction with the union and work around their timetable, not the other way around. But it also means, especially for helping setup, you wind up knowing where everything is in relation to everything else, usually before and better than anyone else. Which also means that if later on during the course of the con, if you're bored and want to help out with con ops, they a lot of times need help with that particular piece of knowledge. So,
and logistics, just because we haven't mentioned exactly what they do, a lot of it is picking up things and putting it somewhere else. That's pretty much what logistics is. Okay. If there's no other quick updates for before the presentation, I guess I'm going to go ahead and give it. So I have here in the notes links to the 4 presentations that we did at the last meeting. If anybody wants to go check them out, there are a bunch of Google slides, and you can also just watch the video if you want of last week's, or I keep saying week, last month's meeting, where you can just see everybody hopefully not awkwardly deliver those presentations in video form. I was going to pull the link and stick it in there, but I didn't get a chance to. So yeah, let me switch over to the super exciting topic of G Suite. Okay, so G Suite, that further confusion. I didn't have time to put animations in these slides, so they're going to be kind of boring.
They're kind of animated around the screen.
I can be the animation.
G Suite, interpretive dance.
End stream.
G Suite, further confusion. Further confusion has G Suite for nonprofits. If you're not aware of what G Suite is, it's basically all of the various Google apps, but You can get them if you're a business or a school or an organization, and we're a nonprofit. So we get basically the same kind of privileges that a business would for these apps. It's a little bit different because we get tighter integration, improved security, and some more features with our G Suites for nonprofits setup. Like I mentioned, you're probably already familiar with the various products. Well, we're using them right now. I mean, this is Google Slides, and we're using Google Docs for the notes. So this is going to be a little bit of a refresher and some how-to on a couple of different topics and tips, and just basically what we do with them at FC. So let me click and go to the next slide. A refresher. So here are some common ones. Hopefully you already know what these are. The top row there is Docs, Sheets, and Slides. They're basically your standard Office apps, but they're in the cloud. You can access them wherever. You've got collaborative editing, which a lot of other products don't have, so that's kind of cool. If you and like 3 other people want to work on some notes or just collaborate on something, you can. You can also share with other people, either inside of the organization or outside, and you can set up different levels of sharing, and I'll get to that in a few more slides. So you can do editing, commenting, or just viewing. And another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you can see previous versions of everything that you've done in any one of those docs. So if somebody comes in and deletes a whole bunch of stuff, you can roll it back. The next thing, forms. A lot of folks don't realize that Google Forms are a thing, or that they were updated a couple years ago to be a little bit nicer to use. But you can use Google Forms to collect data on all kinds of things. If you're setting up for a show and you want people to sign up to do acts for a show, for instance, great use of forms. You can do polls, quizzes, all kinds of stuff. And also there's an option for a Google form to dump its output into a Google Sheet. So if you prefer spreadsheet view, which I'm sure most people usually do, when they're collecting data, you can do that. The last thing on the list here is Google Drive, which, hey, I mean, it's a place to stick your stuff. It's basically an online folder in the cloud, more or less. You can organize your files in folders and keep all of your projects and departments in sync. And most of the rest of the presentation is actually going to be about Drive because we use it in kind of a particular way here at FurCon. So I'll get into that more. And then the last 3 things that I wanted to highlight, Mail, Calendars, and Meet, which are focused around communication. So mailing lists here at FurCon, so like programming at or exec at or any of the various staff at lists, those are all technically Google groups put in through our organization, and they play nice with all of the other Google Apps products. So you can schedule meetings in Calendar, and you can just attach a mailing list, and it'll figure out who's on the list, and it'll automatically set up a video conference using the Google Hangouts Meet system. And the Google Hangouts Meet system, they just revamped it. It's kind of neat. If you don't have access to the app or a computer, it'll actually let you dial in with a phone now. So that's cool. The downside of dialing in with a phone, you don't get the video sharing part of it, but you can be heard and hear everyone else. Oh yeah, and mail. So because it's a G Suite organization, we do have, it's basically like Gmail, but it's with furcon.org or furtherconfusion.org. What do you call it? That's where the addresses are, and they're available if you need one. And I would recommend talking to our HR folks if you need one. You would know if you need one if basically you contact a lot of other people outside of the con. It basically gives you sort of outward visibility to show that you work for the con. So people in programming often want to have those because it would be weird if like foxyfluff@gmail is sending you an email and you're like, are they working with the con or not? So, you guessed it, Google Drive. That's what's up next. It's everybody's favorite cloud-based file storage, I guess, TM. We use it, TM. So every year at FurCon, we make a shared Drive folder for staff, if you're not already aware of this. And we also have annual exec folders. If you're hired, you'll already be set up with permissions to access this folder. And the access that you use to touch this folder is whatever email you used to sign up as staff. So it automatically creates like an invite for permissions for that. If that doesn't work out for you, or if that's not the email you want, you can talk to HR and they can re-provision it. Anything that you put in that folder is automatically shared with edit permissions to everyone else who has access to that folder. So it's usually good for a lot of things, but sometimes that can be tricky. So if you're putting something that's collecting data, up in Google Drive, you might not want to put it in that shared folder. And if you're not sure, like I said there, you can always create a file just in your regular Google Drive or wherever, and then add it to the folder later if you want to ask people. It's really easy to add stuff into the folders and move stuff around. Our shared folder is roughly divided into departments, and you can add subfolders or more folders to that, however makes the most sense to you. And as an example, this is where all the meeting notes end up. So if you want to find the meeting notes later, it's a really easy way to find them. They're just in Drive. Okay, so here's sort of a quick how-to. How do you add the shared Google Drive folder into your sidebar, into My Drive? So it's a little step-by-step. These are the only animations I had time to put into the presentation, so I'm proud of them, I guess. So first, you want to sign in, and you want to sign in with the account that you used to volunteer with. Then you go into the Shared With Me button. It's on the sidebar, and you'll be able to find all of the stuff that you have access to. It's kind of a mess, which is why I recommend adding it to your sidebar. Find the folder in the list. It'll look like that. Then you can right-click on that and say, Add to My Drive. And then it'll be in your sidebar, and it'll look kind of like that. I've been with the convention for a while, so I have a lot of years of folders in my sidebar. And then you should be able to find it a lot easier. You can also change the color of any of the folders in your My Drive section, and it won't actually affect other people's visibility of those colors. That's for you. It'll be easier to find things. So when I want to find 2019's folder, I just look for the purple one. Oh yeah, and this is sort of like what the inside of the folder looks like. You've got business, HR, marketing, meeting notes, operations, presentations, programming, and the reimbursement forms up there, so on and so forth. If you're here on your laptop or on your phone or something, I would recommend doing this so you don't forget how to do it. If you don't do it now, do it at the breakout. If you have questions, come on up and ask at the breakout. So how do you add a doc to a folder after the fact? It's actually really, really easy. It's a one-step process pretty much. You click on that little folder button at the top of the doc, and then you pick what folder you want it to go in. That's it. But what if you're in a doc and you want to share it with specific people? There's a big blue button that'll look something like that if you're in the doc itself, or if you're in Drive instead of being in the doc, you can right-click on that file that you want to share, and there's going to be a button that looks like that. They have a lot of different icons that basically mean the same thing, but if you see a little person with a plus next to it, that means share. If you see a lock on it, that means it's probably not shared, at least not yet. So this is what the sharing settings look like, and sometimes these look a little scary or obtuse to people, so I just wanted to give a really quick overview of what they are. When you click on share, it'll bring up the thing on the left first, and you can adjust who has access at what different levels, and you can add collaborators in that field down there, and you would add email addresses or names. It'll warn you if you're trying to add people who are outside of the organization. Sometimes that happens, especially since people have lots of different email addresses. So don't be too afraid about it, but if it gives you a warning, I guess just be aware of that. And then if you click on this change button at the very top, or in this case it said private, I got this window here where it says the different levels that you can have this document shared. So at this moment it was shared to nobody, it was just shared with myself. But I could set it up so that anybody could see it if they had the link, or anybody on the entire internet could see it, they could just search for it. A lot of the times I use the anyone with the link. For instance, the slides are set up that way, and then it's set to view only. So because why would anybody else want to edit my slides? I mean, I guess you could, but what? Something else. Something else that I find really useful. It depends if this would be useful to you or not, but a lot of people aren't aware of it. There is an app that you can get called Google Backup and Sync. The idea is you download this app, you sign into it, and then you could explore everything in your Google Drive as files on your computer, just like a normal folder. And you could stick stuff in there, you can move things around, and it'll behave just like a folder on your computer. This is really, really helpful if you're in a department that has a lot of special files that you need to edit, like marketing, for instance. Like if you've got like a lot of Photoshop files, you can just stick them straight in Drive, and then, cool, you're good. The one caveat to that is just be selective when you set it up, because it'll ask you, hey, do you want to sync all of your photos to your Google Drive? And you'll want to say no. Not for this. For your personal, I mean, go right ahead. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I would recommend not sharing your whole photo library with FC. So now that I've gotten through those, here are just some general tips and tricks that aren't related specifically to Google Drive. Something that I've done for the last couple of years that I found really helpful, that I think other people might find helpful, is something called a bullet journal, which is basically just a private notes doc. Mine looks pretty much like that. It's really helpful to be able to keep track of yourself, especially when you're picking up and putting down work. You just write down whatever you're doing, and at the top of my doc, I have a bunch of links to all of the different various folders and systems and like staff lists and stuff that's relevant to me, but other things might be relevant to you. It's just a little easier for me to find things because I can just bookmark one doc and I know where all my stuff is. Some other things that people aren't aware of, even at Google a lot of the time, spoiler alert, I actually worked there, and we use G Suite for business. Who would have thought, right? Google uses the stuff. But yeah, no, this is something that comes up all the time. If you're just writing online notes docs, turn off print layout, because are you ever going to print the doc, or is it just meant for you to write stuff into? If you turn off print layout, it's going to just, if you have it on, it's going to split everything up into pages. If you turn it off, it's just one big long flowing list of stuff forever. The other neat thing is outline mode. For whatever reason, most of the time it's defaulted to off. I would recommend turning it on. And then any headings that you put in will automatically show up in the sidebar, and you can click on them and see them really quickly. That way you don't need a table of contents. Again, you're not printing it, so why would you even have one of those most of the time anyway? Keyboard shortcuts are really cool and make editing stuff all across all of the different Google products way faster. And these 4 keyboard shortcuts actually work across almost all of the Google apps, at least all of the ones that I've used. Command K is make a link to something. It'll bring up a little thing, you paste your URL, and now whatever that text was that you had selected is a link. Command, what is that, backslash? That clears out formatting. There's a lot of times when you're going to be copy pasting stuff from one thing to another, and the formatting will get all messed up. And it's useful to just be able to clear that really quickly. Command backslash is how you do that. Or I guess on Windows and Linux, it's probably going to be Control, but I think it's the same buttons. I'm not sure. Curly brace in and out is changing indents. And in Docs and in a lot of other products, just typing a star and then a space will automatically start a bulleted list. That's how I have so many bulleted lists. I just at it really quickly. Some more quick tips and tricks. There are phone apps for all of the Google apps. So if you want to be able to edit things on your phone, like these slides at 4 a.m., like I did in bed, hey, you can totally do that.
How did you not wake
up? You were really asleep. I guess the one thing is that sometimes the apps aren't as fully featured as their desktop counterparts. For instance, the Google Slides app for your phone can't do animations. Which is one of the reasons why there aren't that many. Something else, if you're like me, you have more than one Google account, and having more than one can be really tricky. A lot of times you'll be presented with a window like this where it'll ask you what account you want to be using, or sometimes you'll just automatically be on the wrong account. On one of my browsers, you'll see my personal account is the default one, so whenever I open a link, it'll say, oh, you don't have access to that thing or whatever. But usually you can pop on the little icon in the top right corner and switch your account over. One of the easiest ways to solve this multiple accounts annoyance is to use Google Chrome, where you can have multiple profiles and just have each profile signed into one account, and then you can switch between them and have separate windows, segmenting your life into different personalities, which works okay. So yeah, that's just, I guess, a quick tip there. Like I mentioned earlier, the copy pasting can be really annoying. I guess just be aware of that. Sometimes you'll copy paste something into an email, and then you send it, and then you look at it somewhere else, and you're like, wow, what happened here? This text is really big right next to some text that's really small. So be aware of that clear formatting command. And I guess one of the last things that I wanted to mention is almost all of the G Suite apps have add-ons available, which can sometimes be really, really useful. So if there's some functionality that is lacking, you can do cool stuff if you know where to find it. The example that I give there is I found this one add-on called Form Limiter that I use for Google Forms, and it allowed me to close the fare ticket form once we had 50 tickets picked up. That particular one actually even lets you set up equations and stuff in a spreadsheet, and it'll pull the data from there, and you can do all kinds of wacky math, and it'll close it based on a date or whatever. So there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can do. If you're doing forms, that's a really good one. I'd recommend that because it'll auto close forms for you. All kinds of good stuff. So some quick things to consider, I guess, as a review. If you are an avid user of PowerPoint, Word, or Excel, consider using the G Suite app version of it instead, because it's going to be easier for you to share that information with other people if you do. But if you really want something to look a particular way, I know there are plenty of times when I have graphic design stuff that I'll do a quick job in like Apple Pages or something. Like, totally go ahead with that, but consider uploading the file to Drive just so that people have access to it later. Be careful of who you're sharing files with. It should be pretty obvious if you click the share button. And if you're making something that's useful from one year to the next, also consider putting it in the FC playbook, because the Drive folders are segmented for each year. And if you're making something that people might want to use next year, like if it's like rules for how to do something, like the FC Dance Comp rules as a blind example, might be useful to stick somewhere where it's going to be accessible in the next year. Where can you go to find out more? It turns out that G Suite has a really comprehensive learning center. So if you're interested, there is a quick start guide, which is like a really short web page that explains a lot of stuff that I didn't feel that I needed to in the slides, but it might be useful for you to take a quick look at. And the Learning Center in general has way more information. And if you're, otherwise you can totally just ask a lead or an exec. A lot of folks have been using this for quite some time and know how it works. So if you have questions, just feel free to ask. But that's it. Are there any questions? G Suite, it's cool. And with that, let's do our breakout session. So let's break for 20 minutes or 20. Let's do 22 minutes. So we'll come back at a clean 2:10.
I'm going to mute the stream.
Yeah, so mute the stream, and department leads, pick an area of the room that you want to go.
Marketing's going in the back corner again.
The cool corner. Yeah.
You have any
Green.
all right with you, I'm gonna
And we're
make
back.
your presentation from the FC2019. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's set to anyone with the link. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the yet, on the website, please fill out the application, and then, pretty much if you want to go to our show, right, we'll just hit you up and you
No, that last week was maybe.
No, no. You thought last week happened, it didn't really? But it's a common mistake.
Oh, hey, I should like make this not the stage.
Follow
my own instructions. I'll trade with you.
We're under a.
It wasn't cold over there. That's all I'm saying. A little bit over there.
Hey, a staff bridge. Thanks whoever did that.
Cool. Following my own instructions, I just put the September meeting notes in the meeting notes folder. All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope the breakouts were productive and you all got to talk to everybody that you wanted to talk to. If you didn't get time to do such, there'll be more time after the meeting. With that, were there any super amazing pressing things that we need to discuss right now? Otherwise, we'll go into department updates. Department updates, it is. So first on the list is hotel. Moo, would you like to give them or should I?
If you're a staff and you haven't booked your hotel room, please book it, then email hotel@furtherconfusion.org. If you weren't able to get the type or the hotel of your preference, we still have staff rooms, I think, in all hotels available, and that is a perk of being staffed. Yeah, you can say the name you booked under in your confirmation code and basically what you want, and I can get that fixed up. That includes if you need to change the dates, or if you want to be in a different hotel, we can do this. But not for much longer. It ends at the end of next month, so do it as soon as possible. October 20th, sorry, is the actual date. Hyatt still has availability, and honestly, the Hyatt, if you're not super worried about being just a tiny short across the street, the Hyatt is great. You get free breakfast for anyone in your room. And it's a really nice hotel. That's my pimp. I would stay there. Party floor applications are still open. We do have some availability for party floor. If you want to be on the runner-up list because you don't want to party, but you might be willing to put up with the noise, you can also check in with me. We will probably have a couple slots to fill, but we'd love to fill them with parties. So if you have an idea for a party, you have to have the hotel room Thursday through Monday, but you only have to have one open party. The rest can be private parties or just you sleeping. Apparently can't add any nights to Hilton anymore. Those are shoulder dates, I think Bigfoot meant.
Yeah.
But that doesn't apply if you still want a room in the Hilton, we can definitely do that. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Hotel, for the update. Next on the list, I don't know what order this is in. It's not in alphabetical order. Business, are you able to give an update?
Yeah.
Cool.
Really, okay, I put the wrong, wait, no. Okay, sorry.
Don't want to start too.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
dealers, I'm also curiously, if you would, no. We only have a couple overdue invoices. Dealer stuff is pretty self-encapsulated until we get a little closer to con. We're finalizing the actual layout of the dealer room, so we haven't done dealer seating charts yet. The Artist Alley is now closed. We will be doing the lottery and selecting Artist Alley spots today or tomorrow. If anyone has any interest, we still have a couple open spots for dealers/con store. And you may get lent out to our show as well, depending on how many we have. And any questions on dealer stuff, please come talk to me. I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, sorry, I just confused myself in my own notes, so that's great. I can give a registration report. Our current reg count is 525 people, which breaks down to 431 attendees. 80 sponsors and 13 super sponsors. That includes a decent uptick in this last week after some advertising placement, which is cool, and possibly fallout from Picnic, or not fallout, but like.
Oh, yeah, it's Picnic.
You know what I mean? From the Picnic. Okay, and and I just met a whole bunch of registration staff. Yeah, awesome. And I don't think we have any updates as far as that. Although at marketing, we would love to talk gifts. Relatively soon.
Yes.
I guess that would probably fall under you.
Yeah. What about them? Oh, what are they? Okay, sure.
Do we have options, or do we have?
We've got a couple already pretty much finalized, and then we're still working on a couple. So what we do have finalized is for super sponsor, we're going with the hoodie. Not exciting, but a cool art and something people will wear. For should I give away staff gift? I mean,
no.
Okay, staff gift is going to be something special. We have for either panelists. For panelists, it's going to be a tote bag, a little kind of a canvas one. I've got actually.
Oh, gee, that's big.
No. This would have been, if it wasn't for the hoodie, it'd be this one, which would be a fair bag movie side. So this is for the sponsor. Imagine a beautiful, artistically designed. I don't want to put a whole white bag. That would be that. And so what we don't have is sponsor, Lion Man, and then just little stuff, like skis and coats and stuff. But I think we just talked about that during breakouts, and we're looking at late November, early December as deadline. So we're aware and it's in process.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Riley, do you want to talk about art show?
Yes. So art show is about 50% full. We have 25 artists who have already claimed panels. Some of them have paid, some have not. I haven't started pestering them about that yet. But if you have any artist friends or any artists who are listening, we are not full. We can definitely take your art. We would love to take your art. It's only October, so I'm not at all concerned that we only have 50% panels. But by the last week before the con started, suddenly we became full. So I'm expecting that's what's going to happen here. To reiterate the earlier staff call, we are still looking for staff. Our show is a really nicely calm and organized department to work in. So if you would like to come and work art show and help us to sell art and keep our customers and artists happy, then it'd be a pleasure with you.
Cool. And for charity, there's not a ton to say at this point, but our charity this year is the Wildlife Center of Silicon Valley. We are excited to work with something that's not dogs and cats for the 4th year in a row. No, we love dogs and cats, but it was getting a little played out. So now we have wildlife, and that is cool and something we don't get to do that often. But we are going to talk with the charity about getting charity panels, including the charity auction and whatever meet and greets or educational panels they can work with their schedule. But we will be getting that down soon, definitely the auction, because that is a huge fundraiser for them. And if you guys have any ideas for what we can do with the charity, we're always talking about doing stuff at the variety show on Sunday night. We may do some special auctions. We always we always do the sketches during the show and then auction them off, and those are a good money drive. But if you have any other ideas, or if you have any friends who want to be on a bucket brigade where we can get cash just in a bucket, let us know at charity@furcon.org. Otherwise, I think that's it for business. I need reimbursements from the people who know who they are.
Cool. Cool. Thank you, business, for your updates on all the various businessy things. Next thing on the list is programming.
Programming.
Yay, programming. My former department, which I hold near.
So we have about 50 panel submissions so far. Although panel submissions are still open, so if anyone in here is interested or knows anyone else who might be interested, please let them know that we still want more panels. So far we have a lot of interesting panels already too, so that's good.
More always.
Adult Dragon panel is returning, from what I heard, so everyone's happy about that. Planning for shows has gotten underway. Expecting more information about that next meeting. So that'll include stuff like dance comp, FCU, things of that sort. As far as DJs and dances goes, I have now heard that we are slated to open DJ auditions for the dances on the 1st of October, this coming Monday. And they should be open for 3 weeks. It should be announced soon. And then we'll get the DJs chosen and that information announced soon after, probably end of October, early November. For as far as rooms go, we're still working on room layout stuff. Expect more info on that next week as well. Little update on gaming. Games of Berkeley is returning. So that's another cool thing.
And they contacted us this year instead of us contacting them. That means they like us.
And then basically we still need staff is the last thing I can think of mentioning. Fursuit Lounge and gaming once again. If you're interested in either of those, please let programming know. And we also still need a social and species track leads, costume and performance track leads, and art track leads. So if anyone is interested or knows anyone who might be interested, please contact programming. Thank you all very much. And back to Kenny.
Thank you once again for your updates, Groggy, on programming, and Shai, who is on the call somewhere in cyberspace.
We think. We hope.
We hope. He's like Freakazoid. He got sucked into the internet.
Cyberspace.
Okay, marketing is next on the list.
So marketing doesn't have a lot. We have the usual bit of if you need anything tweeted, emailed, web pages updated, themed for the con, anything like that, please send an email to marketing@furcon.org and we will take care of it as best we can. The only hiring need that we're going to have on the horizon is probably carnival barkers for at the con, and because that's going to be an at-con specific role, we're going to wait probably until November to start soliciting for more of those. Mostly because some of the people that we have already hired want to do that at the con for people who have jobs that are mostly pre-con. They're like, oh, we'll do that at con. So we need to figure out what games we're going to have, what hours we're going to be open and stuff before we know how many more people we need. So if that's something that you're waiting on, like if you're interested in doing carnival barking, go ahead and send an email to marketing@. We're just not getting the ball rolling on that quite yet.
Cool. And for those who aren't in the know already, I mean, our theme is going to the fair, and fairs have a carnival section, and part of what we're going to do is have a fun area outside of the dealer's room with some carnival type games that we'll be using to raise money for our charity. So.
Yeah, marketing is putting together like a midway area with theming. We'll have some photo op places, a few different carnival games to play for prizes, and any money that's spent on carnival games will go in the charity bucket.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, marketing, for your updates. Let's see. Next on the list, we have operations, and I don't believe the execs are present for that. I have a couple of. Oh, Mitra is poking the dock as we speak. He's like a ghost. Hi.
Power of G Suite.
Higher. Yes, power of G Suite. Amazing. Hiring is going well.
It's like high-tech Ouija board. I love those.
This is so cool.
I'm wrapped.
Mitra, you're so cool.
The spirits from beyond have told us that gophers have rediscovered, have rediscovered fire, run.
They've redesigned their stuff.
Time charts. Yeah.
It's like Pictionary, but worse.
This is amazing.
Three words.
Four
words.
Cool. So the gopher scheduling is being rejiggered. Excellent. While Mitra is typing away, I have a brief update for Locker. Oh, he's typing.
If It went very ill.
Inventory.
It went super well. Good attendance.
Inventory.
Inventory. Inventory.
Oh, Dean.
I mean, we have doubled the inventory.
This is what happens when you are technical on vacation.
Yeah. Yeah, the first locker inventory went awesome. We have in our notes here from Tao that Marshall is going to be our logistics person on point to help us out with our second locker inventory, which will either be on the 20th or the 21st. There is a poll in the staff channel on Slack. Pick a day. The 20th is probably going to be our next meeting, so if you want to do the second inventory after the meeting, you can do that. Or we can come back the second day and do it then. That's what we're looking at. Cool. I don't know if we have any additional updates for hospitality or con ops. If you, Mitra, because I know that you're a ghost in the machine right now. If you want to type in some stuff, I can come back to you when you have some stuff typed out. If you
Just figure out the bullet point system first.
it can be a little wacky. AV, I'm just going to skip ahead. I will come back to operations in a moment. Cool. AV, technical production. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I don't know if it's not obvious. Technical production, they aren't present and don't have any updates as far as I'm aware. The big thing for AV, for anyone who's in the room or on the call, is that we are planning to get our rigging diagrams submitted to the hotel 90 days out from the event. 90 days out from the event is October 20th. It's coming right up. Yeah. So, yeah.
AV is aware of that.
AV is aware of that.
One major AV person is.
And we'll be following up with the folks in charge there. IT, you're here. Do you have any?
Yeah, we're working on some systems. But at this point, both of us are kind of slammed with work, so we might be eliciting more staffers. I need to double check with my co-lead. I'm gonna use that for now because we don't need no titles. So that's all I got. Specifically, people who have prior significant sysadmin experience would be ideal.
Okay. Well, now we've wrapped back around to operations. Let's see how our ghost is doing.
Pretty cool that we hired a ghost.
It's very
Thomas
cool.
is on much to say.
It's fine. Just pretend that everything's spelled correctly. It's hard to type.
There's just words missing. That's the problem.
Don't worry. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it in post.
Okay, we'll do it live.
Cool. So Ops' hiring is going well. Looks like their planning is going well too. I mean, Ops has a lot of good procedures written down, so we can mirror what we did last year for Ops for the most part. Opioids from abdominal surgery.
That should potentially be not in the notes permanently, but.
Stutter.
I mean, I've heard of like internet delay, but yeah. I guess
We love you, Mitra.
We love you. Please feel better from your please recover well.
Get well soon.
Cool. So I guess I'll scoot back down unless there's anything else left in there. Okay, so unless there are other departments that I missed that have updates. Cool. So other notes. This is mostly copy pasted from last month's meeting regarding bidding for next year. I just wanted to bring it up again because it was sort of a footnote at the end of a very busy meeting last month. And I said that, hey, I would put up a version of my bid if anybody wants to see what a bid for chair looks like. I guess I'll reiterate, every year the chair and exec team and actually all of staff gets rehired and you have to submit a proposal for chairing the convention. And This is that. I've redacted it to remove a bunch of personal information out of it because a requirement of bidding is that you put a bunch of names and addresses and stuff in there to prove that the people are real people. And boy, howdy, there was a lot of them. So it's been blacked out. So take a look at that if you'd like, or if you just want to see what it's like. I might toss it off to somebody in the board if they want to talk more, but this is all just copy pasted from last month. Would anyone in the board like to talk more about it?
We would love to see your bids. We will be, the board is the one who is going to be judging them, but the board is comprised of people in this room. So they understand and want to help you. So if you have any questions, this isn't a come to us only, behind curtains and we'll have a spotlight on you. We're open to talk. If you want help, Kenny's bid was absolutely excellent, and
thank you.
It was a good top to bottom, just overview. Here's how I'm going to run. Here's the theming. Here's what the logistics and all that. So you've got the resources in the room, and I think the general consensus is we want you to succeed. So if you have any interest, just even if it's a passing thought, bring it up. Come talk to us. See what it's all about. We're very excited to anyone who is prospectively willing to take on the mantle. We want to do everything we can to make it awesome.
Also, worth noting, if anybody doesn't feel like they're ready and they might want to at some point and they want to have more of a leadership experience, definitely get in touch with us on the exec team, because we have leadership opportunities and seconds and shadowing type roles that you guys could help out with and get more involved if you want to sort of prep yourself for someday, ending up on exec or on somebody's bid or bidding yourself.
Yeah, I know sometimes it can seem like exec is a little bit closed doors just because we do meet with the door closed before the general meeting, but in general, most of us are really approachable. We do want you to help. If you're interested, we will work with you to get you in the role that you want to get into. And I can put up a redacted version of my bid too in the next couple weeks if you want a second one to look at. But mine is in a completely different format. So don't feel the need to stick to just one. If you have a way to present your ideas and your information that you think is best, do it that way.
Interpretive dance.
Don't make fun of me, Kenny. I'm sitting right here. We're all here for the community, and that includes everyone in this room. So yeah, we all want to help.
Cool. Yeah, I guess with that, I don't think there's anything else to announce or discuss. So great meeting, everybody. We'll be around for a little while if you want to stick around in the room while we pack things up. Otherwise, yeah, thanks.
Gonna kill the stream then.
Oh, were there any questions, real quick? From anybody about anything?
How are you doing?
I'm really tired, but I'm good.
When did you go to sleep?
Around 4:30 a.m.
Jeez.
That's a bad time.
I was busy, and I was making those slides for everybody.
The slides
here.
were beautiful. You deserve credit for the beautiful slides.
I tried to tell them that the only person making them do a presentation is it's
This is
you.
me.
You're making yourself do a presentation.
Oh yeah, but I wanted to. I said I would.
Penny caters, okay?
I care about Google G Suite.
Thank you for pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Wait,
think
who
that
did
was
that? Thank you,
I think that was
Grant.
Grant.
Thanks,
So
Grant.
thank you very much.
Grant, thanks.
I've eaten plenty of other people's pizza. So.
All right, so that's it. Thanks, everybody.
If there's enough people cleaning up, there's a Mewtwo raid.
Gotta get your Pokemon Go.
Yeah, there is.
All right, I'm killing this
Just
stream.
experience.
Bye, guys.
Why don't